What's up, Grizzlies? I'm Nick Storch,
And I'm Alex Chavez.
and we're here bringing you the ASB presidential debate. Now, Alex, we have a lot of great candidates, don't we?
Yep, I believe it's 4.
All right, well, with that, let's get to our first candidate.
How's it going, Grizzlies? I'm Alex Chavez, and I'm joined with Nyein. What are you going to do differently from your predecessor that will benefit our school?
Okay, so for what I would do different from my predecessor or predecessors is that as your ASC president, I would really love to aim to emphasize the authenticity and transparency of Golden Valley ASB. From my time outside of and within ASB, I've come to recognize a disconnect between the ASB class and the members of the Golden Valley campus. And when I'm referring to disconnect, I'm referring to a variety of issues, such as a lack of representation, lack of engagement, lack of understanding, and most importantly, a lack of trust.
You sound like you'd make a great leader, Nick.
Thank you.
Anyway, what is your biggest goal for the school if you were elected, and what steps would you take to achieve it?
Okay, so my campaign and my goals are based on representation, and representation. So my biggest goal and like a project that I'm really proud to propose would be to propose a redefinition and restructuring of the Golden Valley ASB class. And when I mean like propose a redefinition, I want to propose a literal redefinition because I feel that the term ASB or Associated Student Body is rather misleading given that logistically 50 appointed and elected students cannot represent a student body of over like 2,500. So as your president, I would love to restructure ASB so it serves as an extension of an associate student government as a program that all can participate in via a variety of mediums.
When do we go back to school in person? And if you were elected, what role would you have in making school both a fun place and safe place for everyone to be?
Okay, so under the assumption that we're going back to school, and at least in regards to instilling a fun place on campus, I would definitely like taking the role of becoming a risk taker. To like be quite frank and quite honest, this is my last term in being in ASB, my last year in high school. So this is not the time to be timid and to limit myself and to hold back. And in regards to facilitating a safe place, I feel it's important for me to preface that safe to me goes beyond preventing harm. Safe to me also includes feeling welcomed and feeling as though you're part of a truly inclusive community. But I admit, as a candidate, I do not have all the answers to all the problems that we face as a campus.
Each year, GVTV has a bonus question, a question that the candidates don't know.
Mm-hmm.
This question this year is, what was Jasmine's biggest accomplishment last year, and how did that benefit the school, and how do you plan to build on that accomplishment?
She's been able to bring about so many other student leaders within ASB who wish to follow in her footsteps.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm Alex Chavez. This was Nyein. Now on to GVTV's Nicholas with another candidate.
Thank you, Alex. Now, Grizzlies, I'm here with ASB Outreach Captain Gaby Motta. Gaby, are you ready to answer some questions?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's get started. Now, what are you going to do differently from your predecessor that will benefit our school?
I really want to work on reestablishing connections with students that may have been lost during the pandemic. And I also want to work on integrating our ASB with other ASBs in the district to kind of unite ourselves in this time. And I want to work to address issues that students may have, such as mental health or just standing up for diversity on campus.
That's great. Now, what would your biggest goal be for the school if you were to be elected, and what steps would you take to achieve it?
My biggest goal would definitely be to give students a platform to have a voice, no matter what it may be about. And to do this, I would create a Google form working with admin where students can send in concerns or just suggestions for new ASB events, so that they know that their voice matters and that ASB really does care about what they have to say.
That's a great idea. Now, when we do go back to in-person school, I know it seems like we're never going to go back, but we will go back. Now, when we do, if you were to be elected, what role would you have in making school both a fun and safe place to be?
To make school a fun place and a place where it reaches out to all students on campus, I again want to give students that opportunity to send in suggestions to ASB about new events that they may want or suggestions on how to fix events we may have. And to make school a safe place, I want to make sure that they know that ASB cares by allowing them to address those concerns they may have, to make campus culture feel very welcoming.
Very good. Now, I have a little bonus question for you here that I didn't give you some time to prepare for. Now, What was Jasmine's biggest accomplishment last year that benefited the school, and how do you plan to build on that accomplishment?
I think Jasmine's biggest accomplishment was just like the positivity she brought to ASB, which let students on campus know that she cared. And I want to continue that by like once again giving students a platform to voice any concerns they may have and to really have that open form of connection of communication with ASB and admin so that they know that again ASB is here to represent the student body.
That's great. Now, Gaby, thank you so much for your time. I wish you luck in the election and have a great day. Now I'm going to throw it back to Alex here with our next interviewee.
Thank you for that, Nick. I'm Alex Chavez, and I'm joined of Samara Catalan. What are you going to do differently from your predecessor that will benefit our school?
As we all know, the pandemic has brought on many challenges in more ways than one. Our current leadership has truly faced and continues to tackle those challenges head on and further develops strategies to best support our students from afar. With that being said, I would not only continue with the successful efforts in mind, but also increase the level of communication and dialogue that may or not be taking place.
Thank you. Secondly, what is your biggest goal for the school? And if you were to be elected, what steps would you take to achieve it?
My biggest goal, as I vaguely mentioned, would probably have to make people, students, and staff to feel acknowledged, loved, and appreciated by everyone in ASB, and I mean everyone. By collaborating with and talking to several other people outside of ASB, I can identify that ASB may sort of have a bad rep when it comes to many things, and I want to change that. Things like recognition and biased views are what I recognize offhand, and I will change that. I'm widely open to implementing anonymous surveys, anonymous suggestion box, and when it's safe to even conduct one-on-one sit-downs to address what people feel and hear out their suggestions. I would love to be the voice of many students, and I plan to keep it that way no matter what, president or not.
When we go back to school, if you were elected, what role would you have in making school both a fun and a safe place?
I've taken the time to really evaluate what has been successful in the past with the common wants of administrators and students in mind. I know that not only did students love the service dogs that were brought on campus, but the administrators did as well. I would 100% suggest implementing this again because the joy it brought nearly everyone was fully recognized. I would also like to focus on my fellow classmates' mental health as well.
Last year, our president Jasmine has had a lot of great accomplishments. And how do you plan to build on those accomplishments?
With her positivity, I would love to keep the positive outlook because I feel like ASB has changed a lot when it comes to just this whole time and then the pandemic. I feel like people can see ASB as a very positive thing and not as negative as before. So I would love to just keep the positivity and love to keep going.
Well, thank you for that. With that being said, on to my co-host, Nick.
Thank you, Alex. Now, Grizzlies, I am here with Junior Class President Edward Gunter. Edward, are you ready to answer some questions for us?
Yep.
All right, let's get started. Now, what are you going to do differently from your predecessor that will benefit our school?
Given that Jasmine's, the current ASB president's situation is completely different and nothing an ASB president in the history of GV had to deal with, my tactics and plans are completely different than hers. Jasmine has done a wonderful job with facilitating and creating fun virtual events, things that I can definitely implement in my presidency come next year. But I, like many, are hopeful that we will return to being in person next year. If that is the case, my agenda will involve much more in-person activities that will be as enjoyable as possible given the future circumstances.
That's great. Now, what would be your biggest goal for the school if you were to be elected, and what steps would you need to take in order to achieve?
In years past, ASB has done a lot for each month celebrating the heritage of a specific group, such as Hispanic History Month or Black History Month, to name a few. If elected president, I will further expand on this project and do more to celebrate our diversity. Because GV is the most diverse high school in the district, this task is the utmost importance for our school. I plan to work with clubs such as Black Student Union and OLAS to accomplish this goal of having pride and knowledge in one's culture.
Very well said. Now, if you were to be elected, what role would you have in making the school both a fun and safe place to be?
If elected president, I would want to be the head of our spirit team, and I will strive to have a close bond with my captain and team to carry out great events that will not only be fun, but also safe. I also intend to implement all the techniques and events that we have done virtually. This will be used as an outlet to reach out to groups of students who might be shy or timid so they can have an equal chance to watch and enjoy any event. I will also keep all events and challenges that were hosted via social media this school year.
Now, I have one more question for you, Edward, and I didn't prepare you for it, so it's going to be a little bit of a curveball here. Now, what was Jasmine's biggest accomplishment last year that benefited the school, and how do you plan to build on that accomplishment if you were to be elected?
Jasmine's biggest accomplishment last year was finding a way to make the virtual studying fun and safe. So building on that, I will further expand on the virtual qualities that we have learned from last school year that we can build upon and produce great virtual events again come next school year.
Very good. Now, thank you so much, Edward, for your time, and I wish you luck in this election. Wow, Alex, those were some great candidates. What do you think?
I couldn't agree more, Nick.
Now, voting starts tomorrow, right?
I believe it does. I believe that tomorrow is Wednesday, so yes.
All right, well, you guys got to make sure you get out there and vote, and make sure you vote for the candidate you feel will best represent our school. And as always, I'm Nick Storch.
And I'm Alex Chavez. Make sure to get out there and vote, Grizzlies.